Hey YouTube, how is it going today? Well, I haven't done a BioNano Genomics update video in several days, and they've had some pretty decent price action, so I want to go over that. Plus, I want to go over their current price action because there's some very interesting things happening in the chart as we speak. So I want to share that with you. I want to go over their recent news. And then, as always, I have some other nice looking chart patterns that could present pretty decent trading opportunities. So stick around for those as well. Now, if you're new to my channel, I like to invest and trade in typically lower price stocks and talk about all other things finance related as well. If that's something that interests you, please consider subscribing so you don't miss any future trading or investing ideas. But please remember, I am not a financial advisor, so please do all of your own research before investing in any of these stocks. Now, I'm going to start with the news article first, and this article is a day or two old, so you might have already seen it, but it's kind of significant, so I do want to touch base on it. But this article says that BioNano Genomics announced at a presentation by the director of the Clinical Cytogenomics Laboratory of Children's Hospital in Los Angeles, Dr. Gordana Roca, in which she reported on the performance of optical genome mapping for the clinical analysis of pediatric acute leukemias. She demonstrated how OGM with Sapphire detected clinically important structural variants that can alter patient care and treatment decisions. These structural variants were not detected when the samples were evaluated with a combination of next-generation sequencing and 3 cytogenetic methods that are in the standard of care in leukemia testing today. She concluded that OGM would be advantageous in clinical testing because it detects all types of structural variants with better precision, higher resolution, and better sensitivity than traditional methods, including next-generation sequencing. Now, this article also states that leukemia accounts for more than a quarter of cancer cases in children and remains the second leading cause of their cancer deaths. So a potential breakthrough in this research not only would be huge for BioNano Genomics, but also potentially life-saving for children. So this is just another great reason to be invested in companies like BNGO that are working on technology that is doing mankind a service. All right, well, let's jump over to the charts. This is the current daily chart of BioNano Genomics on my TC2000 trading platform. And if we look at today's price action, we can see that it's at a very critical point in the chart as I'm speaking right now. This is an intraday video, so this thing could move around a little bit. But if you're not familiar with my channel, the 8-period exponential moving average, which is this white line on the chart, for me is the most important moving average. And when a stock breaks below it and stays below it, it usually means the trend is in trouble. And BioNano Genomics is testing it right now. You can see every time it touched it in the past, it got a little bit of a sharper move up. It actually didn't touch it in this last move up. It was so strong, it didn't even wait for that moving average. But we can see that it has touched it 3 times in the last 4 days. And each time it broke back above the moving average. The first 2 days, it broke it just slightly intraday, and it closed back above it. And of course, that is a very good sign. Anytime it breaks below it and then immediately reverses and closes above it, that is super bullish, and that is something that I look for. But right now, it is kind of sitting just barely above it. And if I zoom in just a little bit, it looked like it touched it earlier and bounced up some, but it is still at a critical juncture. In my opinion, I think this trend is starting to get a little tired. Now, let's go to the intraday chart. Let's go to the hourly chart first, and let me show you what I mean here. Okay, now that we have the hourly chart up, you can see that the moves up are starting to slow down, and this one pulled back a little quicker, and it's having a little bit harder of a time starting to round this bottom up. I don't think this pattern is shot at the moment, but it does look like it's getting a little bit weaker than it was on the first 2 moves up. I mean, that could be because the market itself is getting weak, and it's actually beginning to drag BNGO down. And honestly, BNGO is holding up very well, all things considered. But you still can't deny the technical damage that is starting to occur on BioNano Genomics. And this move up has been huge. So it's only natural once you've been in a stock and it's gone up a long ways to, start looking for a point to start taken some of those profits off the table. And if you do want to re-enter the stock, when the stock starts to top out, that's also a very decent thing to do, is sell near the top and try to buy it back when it pulls back. Of course, that's easier said than done. But BIONANO Genomics is looks like it's starting to get a little bit weaker. Now let's go to the 15-minute chart where we can see this current pattern just a little bit better. And if I back out just a little bit, I mean, honestly, this is still a pretty decent looking chart pattern at the moment. This is still a bullish consolidation, but it is starting to have problems at this 200 period simple moving average on the 15-minute chart. And if I back it out, you can see the first time it touched it back on I believe that's the 10th. Let me see here. No, that was the 8th. That was right before the weekend. So on the 8th, the first time it touched it, had the big move up, came back down to it on the 13th, and that started a slingshot move up past this old resistance area. And like I showed you before, it didn't even get all that weak in this turnaround before it had the move up, but now it is really starting to test that 200 period simple moving average. It just touched it once, twice. Now this is the third time that it's touching it, and it's looking like it could potentially break lower. Now, that being said, before I pulled up my BIONANO Genomics chart, I was looking at the NASDAQ, and the NASDAQ looks like it was turning around, and the NASDAQ typically leads the overall market. Not always, but typically it does. And if the NASDAQ is already turning around and getting above that 8-period exponential moving average on the daily chart, this trend might not be over after all. But if the market does, if the NASDAQ does roll over, chances are it's going to hit some of these stocks that have had pretty big gains in the last several months. But as far as this chart pattern is starting to shape out, I think we are at a very critical juncture right now. I think if you are, have strong conviction in BIONANO Genomics going forward, this is nothing to be worried about. But if you're looking for a point to think about ringing the register on this stock, we could be getting close to it. And I think if it rolls over this moving average and breaks through this resistance or this support area, I think the overall trend could be in trouble in the short term. But I just wanted to show that information to you guys in case you're holding this stock. Let's get over to some other trading opportunities I see happening right now. All right, well, before I get into those other charts, I do want to go over the market averages super quick. I'm going to go over their ETFs. This one is the QQQ, which is the ETF for the NASDAQ, so I can show you what I was talking about a little bit earlier. And if we zoom in a little bit, we can see the NASDAQ is looking like it's going to be breaking above that 8-period exponential moving average. So that is super good news if you are long stocks. And I personally like to be involved in the market when it is uptrending. I do know how to make money in the downtrends as well, but it seems like it's a little bit easier to make money in the uptrends. So if this can get above the 8-period exponential moving average, that is good news for me and probably for all of us. But the NASDAQ, it usually leads the other indices, and hopefully it does not find resistance at this moving average and roll back over. That's always a possibility. This is midday, so anything can happen in the second half of the day. But if it can hold above that moving average, if it close out the day above it, I think that's a super good sign, especially if it follows through the next day. But let's look at the diamonds, which is the ETF for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And this is the weaker of the three, and this one still has a lot more work to do to get back above these moving averages. But if the NASDAQ can get above it and hold it, that will typically bring up the other averages usually. I mean, we'll see how it works out this time. But let's jump over to the spider real quick. And if we jump over to the spider is looking a little bit better than the Dow Jones, and it has a very good possibility if it can get a boost going in the second half of the day to get above those moving averages, and that would be huge. So if everything holds up today, if this momentum continues higher, that would be a super good technical sign for the overall market. So let's hope that it stays strong into the rest of the day. But let's get into those charts. All right, well, the first one I want to talk about is VXRT. I talked about this one a couple of videos ago, and we talked about it a little bit in the Patreon group as well. Unfortunately, I did not buy this one because I wasn't opening any more long positions because I thought the market might be getting weak. But as we can see, that was a mistake because it is up about 25% on the day at the moment. But if we look at this pattern, I mean, it's just a picture-perfect pattern. I love how when these formations start occurring, you get the nice rounding bottom, and I love it when there is a false break in the middle of that rounded bottom, because that usually means the pattern is going to be a little bit more predictive. This is a little bit of a shakeout to kick out sellers, and then once it gets back above that 8-period exponential moving average, there's a good possibility it's going to be rounding back out, which is exactly what happened. It had the breakthrough resistance, and if we zoom in, held the 8-period exponential moving average just perfectly and had the nice slingshot move up. So just an absolutely perfect looking chart, VXRT. If any of you guys got into this stock, congratulations, because it is paying off for you. If you weren't scared of the market like I was, and you had some cojones and actually got into it, congratulations, because that was a good trade. But let's go to the next one. Next one I want to talk about is David's T. We talked about this one also a couple of videos ago. It was breaking out of that nice bullish pennant formation. We had the nice accumulation, the nice big volume bars coming on the bottom, which normally leads to a move up. It had the explosion through that pennant, but had gapped up today, but it is getting weak at the moment for some reason. I'll go intraday in a minute, and we'll take a little bit of a closer look at that chart. But this one I also did not buy because I didn't open any new positions, but it's still up 11% at the moment. Actually had a high of $4.50 at one time. But let's go to the 15-minute chart real quick and take a peek at the intraday action. If we zoom out just a little bit, you can see that picture-perfect pennant formation a little bit better. I love going intraday and looking at those because it just gives you a little bit better perspective. Had the breakout of that pennant. Got right back above the 8-period exponential moving average, had a little bit of a mini pennant above the pennant, and then had the explosion up. But if we zoom in a little bit closer, it looked like it was coming down to that 8-period exponential moving average and was going to start hooking up, but immediately reversed. So this is kind of concerning. If it does fill the gap that it had in the beginning of the day and close below that, that is not a good sign. So if I had bought this stock, I would be pretty concerned at the moment. I would probably consider taking the position off the table. I might give it one more day just to see how the market reacts to this price action. But if it closes in this gap area from a technical perspective, that is not a good sign. But there's still plenty of time left in the day. It could easily close above $4 a share, and that would make a very bullish candle. So no need to get scared on David's T just yet, but it is a very, very nice looking pattern at the moment. Let's go over PDSB. Talked about this one in yesterday's video. I actually tucked this in at the end of the M1 Finance video because I wanted to show you this pattern because it was just looking so bullish. Had a very nice rounded bottom, and it broke above resistance, and then we can see today it is up 14% at the moment. So it's having a decent breakout above this rounded bottom, and it's looked like it's going to be holding this resistance, which of course is going to become support now that it's above it. But if we back out just a little bit, we can see all that volume that was coming into this stock, and it is still there. So you can see when we back out a little bit, the nice structure of this rounding bottom. So very bullish chart on PTSB. If any of you guys got into this one, congratulations, because this one is looking good. But me, unfortunately, I cowered out because the market was getting weak. But anyway, let's get into some other tradable patterns that look like they could be starting their move up right now. All right, the first one I want to show you is Streamline Health Solutions, ticker symbol STRM. And this one is just breaking out today, is breaking out on a little bit better than average volume. My disclaimer on STRM, it is a little thinly traded, a little more thinly traded than I like. we go down here, we can see it trades about 100,000 shares a day on average. I'd like to stick around at least 250,000 shares or more. But I know a lot of you guys like these lower float type stocks, so I definitely wanted to throw this one in there because the pattern is so bullish. And if we back out, you can see all of the big green volume bars that have been pouring into this company because the volume is just very big when it has some upside moves. But this is a very bullish pattern. We can see it's basically been in a sideways consolidation that's hooking up. During the pandemic, of course, it had that big sell-off, but it immediately got right back into that consolidation range, right around $1 to $1.50, and it looks like it is finally breaking out. So this is a very, very bullish chart pattern. And again, my disclaimer is it is a little thinly traded. So when they are a little thinly traded, not only can they go your way very quickly because it doesn't take a lot of buying pressure to send them up, but it can also go against you very quickly because it doesn't take a ton of selling pressure to send it back down. So it's a double-edged sword on stocks like these. But I do love this chart pattern, so I wanted to show that to you. The next one I want to talk about is NXE. We can see NXE is holding this consolidation and it is starting to break out above it as we speak. It is about $3.20 a share. The resistance area was just over $3, so it's broken nicely above it. And again, this is an intraday chart right here, and the buying is already well above the average daily volume. So that's exactly what you want to see. You want to see some nice volume coming into it as it's breaking out to a new high. So Next Gen Energy, ticker symbol NXE, looking super bullish. Let's go intraday real quick just to take a better look at this consolidation. But if we look at this recent consolidation that it is breaking out of, very, very nice sideways move. And this has just had some churning, had a little bit of a false break right here, which is fine in the beginning of the consolidation. It's actually a good thing because it shakes people out a little bit. And but eventually it did break through that resistance that we are seeing today. So if this thing can pull back a little bit, I think it would be a good buy. Like I said before, I am not going to be taking any new positions until the overall market tips its hand a little bit more and shows me that it's going to hold that 8-period exponential moving average. So I have a better feeling that it's going to continue to move up. I don't want to be jumping the gun just yet because there's great tradable patterns almost every single day. So there's no need to swing at a pitch that isn't over the plate. But this one is a very nice looking chart at the moment. Just a picture perfect breakout of this consolidation. But the next one I want to show you is DVAX. Now these ones have taken off just a little bit, so they're a little long in the tooth, but I wanted to show them to you already because they could certainly continue this up move because they're so strong and a lot of volume is pouring in. But we can see that DVAX had a very nice rounding bottom. Just an absolutely beautiful pattern, exploded above the 200-period simple moving average, and of course held that 8-period exponential moving average before the move up. So I mean, I absolutely love looking for these right here. And if you are a trader, you definitely want to add this to your repertoire because these are just such perfectly beautiful bullish patterns. So just wanted to show you DVAX, even though it is a little extended. I don't know if I would be jumping in just yet. Maybe wait for a pullback because it is up 40% at the moment. And the next one I wanted to show you was INO. Basically making the same kind of pattern almost. Had a decent looking rounding bottom. Wasn't picture perfect, but it was good enough. And once it started holding that 8-period exponential moving average, it just blasted through that 200-period simple moving average. So this one looks like it's a little early, but you cannot deny the strength that has been coming in 3 of the last 4 days, and especially today because it's up 40% at the moment. So INO, a very strong stock. If this thing can consolidate and move sideways, do kind of one of these, but actually start to break to the upside, that would be the next leg up in INO. But INO is definitely worth putting on your watch list. Same with DVAX. I mean, if those things can consolidate sideways a little bit until that white line, that 8-period exponential moving average, catches up to it, that could be a very bullish chart pattern and a very nice tradable opportunity to the upside. All right, guys, well, that's all I have for this one. But if you have any questions or comments on any of these stocks, please don't hesitate to leave them down there in the comment section, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed the content, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already so you don't miss any future trading opportunities. Thank you so much for watching my video all the way to the end, and until next time, take care, everybody.